And what's going on, guys? Kale here, coming at you with another video. For those of you new to the channel, I am an endgame player with 3 accounts, all in the endgame, all in the same alliance. So more or less basically a madman. But anyway, this one is going to be in regards to just kind of touching on the mutant nodes in Doom 2. This is primarily geared more towards my actual alliance itself, but we do have quite a few newer players to the alliance, and I just kind of wanted to go over what I do as far as the kill order in the mutant section. So I'm going to go in here real quick and join my raid. So a couple things to touch on. Currently there is basically one mutant team. We'll kind of see what happens when we get the introduction of both Gambit and Rogue. If that does kind of switch up the mutant raid meta, essentially. But for right now, your basic only standard option is going to be the Axemen. Very important with your Axemen, basically how you're setting up their ISO 8 class. Pretty simple. Everyone is a skirmisher with the exception of Bishop. Bishop is going to be your striker, and the importance of this, just to kind of go over the individual characters. With Beast, you want him being able to strip buffs off of the enemy. Same thing with Kitty Pryde, as well as you want her to be able to land her offense down. For Iceman, you want him to be able to land his slows, because that is going to reduce the damage from your enemies. And for Jubilee, you want her as skirmisher to basically land her blinds. So yeah, that's the gist of the ISO 8. We are going to load up the node, and I kind of will talk a little bit about the kill order. And this first node in particular goes pretty smoothly. The only, I would say, variable in this node is whether or not your actual bishop gets blinded on his first turn. So there's basically one of two things that'll happen. You're either going to use his ultimate, or you're going to use his special. So I target Bishop first. And basically, I just want to get that taunt off of him. And Bishop is going to be my primary target. And let's see what happens here. Okay, so our Bishop resisted the blind. So we're going to use his ultimate. If my Bishop was actually blinded, we would then use the special. And the reason behind that is the special is unavoidable and it's always going to land. But in this case, we're going to use the ultimate. And you'll kind of notice what's also going to kind of depend a little bit on your damage output and your speed turn is whether or not, where Greg is placed. My Axemen are pretty well developed, so the Bishop goes down pretty quickly. But if you do need a little speed, you just have to kind of basically hit Greg and you're good to go. Now, one thing I do like to do, I do like to get the Squirrel Girl stunned so she doesn't go and strip off all these debuffs you put on the field. Now, my next big goal is either going to be to blind Silver Surfer or stun him, depending on what happens first. So you'll see over here we do have an assist from Jubilee, so this actually should land the stun, and we should be good to go. And in this case, it actually killed the Silver Surfer. If not, though, if your blind rather doesn't land, what I would then do is on my next Iceman turn, I would then just do his special, and that should stun. At this point now, I'm going to basically start kind of refreshing my cooldowns. I want all my cooldowns available, in particular for the next node. The next node, I would say, is probably the hardest of the 3 nodes as far as, just being able to kind of clear it. I think the kill order really does kind of influence how you do in this node. And I'm going to farm Greg over here for just a minute or two, just to kind of refresh some of those cooldowns. And just kind of see where everyone is at. Okay, everyone's kind of in a good spot. So I'm going to start now targeting Hela. So there's going to be one more wave that drops. So any cooldowns that aren't currently refreshed should refresh with this last wave. I'm going to go ahead, strip the taunt off of Bishop, and once again, we're going to go after Surfer first, once we remove the taunt from Red Guardian, which we did. The only character I'm not so much worried about his cooldowns is going to be Bishop. He's got such low cooldowns, as it is, so I'm not too worried. If anyone gets kind of really low on health, I will go ahead and pop Beast's special, just if needed. But as of right now, we're okay. So we're just going to kind of keep basicking basicing? I don't know if that's a word. We're going to keep using basics, and basically the goal here is to just basically kind of either slowly take them down. You know, we ideally would like to land a blind on Silver Surfer. That way his ultimate basically misses if he does get to take a turn. So, boom, we got the blind done there real quick, and we are now, again, Bishop, we're not so worried about his cooldowns. Kitty Pryde over here is a little low on health, but you'll notice just with the basic, he, not from the basic, but just from Beast going, his passive healing brought Kitty Pryde back up to full health. So at this point, if I really wanted to, I could just slap it on auto basic and save myself the need to click, but I don't mind just kind of clicking through. He goes down pretty quick. So that's the first node. The kind of key takeaways from this, you want to strip the taunt off of Bishop, and then based off of what happens to your actual Bishop, determines whether or not you use the ultimate or the special. You then basically nuke down Bishop, and you start working on the Silver Surfer. Make sure you do get a stun on Squirrel Girl, that way she doesn't clear the negative debuff she put on the field, and I think the fight goes pretty smoothly. I do have, obviously, very well-developed Axemen. They are all G15, ISO Blue 3, and pretty much all the T4s that are relevant are maxed out. The second node can be a little trickier, and sometimes, depending on kind of what I'm doing and how focused I am, sometimes this is a 2-tap, other times it's a 1-tap. With me kind of talking it through, it might be a 2-tap, but the important thing is I'm going to talk about the kill order and kind of some priorities. So in this first wave, Emma is actually the biggest problem. So I'm going to go ahead and get some offense up on my side, and the goal behind this is just basically take out Emma all the faster. Now, we do have all of our cooldowns ready, so we are able to get the slows, which is really going to help us. But mainly, our big thing, like I said, is to drop Emma before she gets a turn. And Emma, when she goes, she's basically going to strip all these negative debuffs that we put on the field. And I did actually already do a slight play error where I did too much damage to Colleen Wing, and Miss Marvel over here taunted. So what I actually really should have done with my Kitty Pryde is I should have done her ultimate, but not a big deal. What we're going to do here, we are going to go ahead and stun Colleen Wing so she doesn't get heal block on our side. And just from kind of sheer luck, we also were able to get rid of Emma just from some splash damage. Now that this next wave is dropped, the most important thing is we need to get a blind on Black Bolt. There is going to be kind of like a lot of damage output from the enemy's side, and you don't want anyone to basically get into the red and then have Black Bolt them into death. That's kind of what you're avoiding. So there's a couple things you can do. You can kind of single target him and hope you kind of get the RNG that Jubilee over here will basically do the assist. It does look like I'm having kind of bad luck with that, so what we can also do is, as you see, Multiple Man is here, and Multiple Man, obviously whenever he takes damage, is going to summon a dupe, and the dupes are basically your way to get speed. So you can use those to kind of build up your speed. It is my Jubilee's turn now, so I am going to get a blind on Black Bolt, so that is done. And Black Bolt's almost dead, which is also, we could probably just finish him off. But with him blinded, Black Bolt is a pretty slow character, so we shouldn't have to worry about him too much. So what I like to do now is I switch my focus back on over to Hulk. And I am going to drop Hulk pretty quickly. Multiple Man just did his special, so there are some dupes. They're more just kind of a annoyance than anything. But really, for the actual Axemen themselves, they are pure speed. So you'll notice here, Beast did drop down into the red, and that's why it's so important to land that blind on Black Bolt, because Beast probably would have gotten deleted at that point, and we obviously don't want that. So I'm going to target Multiple Man over here, because this will, with splash damage, kind of finish Hulk, and it actually got rid of the Black Bolt. Now my next focus is going to be the two Dad Bros, and the reason I'm focusing on them now is the final wave is actually going to be a long shot. and a Black Bolt. And what you really don't want is essentially 2 long shots on the field. With the 2 long shots on the field, the surviving X Factor members have insane turn meter, basically just because there's crits like all over the place, and you certainly don't want that. So you definitely want to drop the long shot and Shatterstar before that final wave drops. And basically, if I was to kill either Multiple Man, Polaris, or Sinister, those 2 characters would drop, and we don't want that. So now we're basically kind of just in cleanup mode. I'm going to go ahead and target Multiple Man, and this is pretty much a done deal. I might time out, which is okay, just because I've been running my mouth, basically. The fight, obviously, probably if I wasn't talking and explaining, I probably definitely could one-shot it. It just really just kind of depends sometimes. Some days it goes better than others, and it just really kind of on the focus. But this one can sometimes be a 2-tap, and it's, not a big deal. So at this point, I am going to start saving cooldowns again, because, again, the last node can be a little tricky. Again, it's another kind of RNG fest, and again, the only person that cooldowns we don't really need to save is going to be Bishop. I'm going to go in and actually go to Auto Basic and see if we can actually maybe finish the node. Just with Auto Basic, obviously the game obviously plays a little bit faster, and if not, it'll be a really quick, easy cleanup to kind of kill these 2 enemies. So basically what I did was I made sure I got a blind on both characters, and then I go after Longshot first because he dies quicker, and I know if I have to go back in and kind of 2-tap this, that Black Bolt is going to be the easier opponent. So yes, obviously a little 2-tap, not a big deal. We're going to go in and finish this node real quick, and then we will talk about the boss node, which the boss node is definitely kind of the more challenging component, and hopefully with the introduction of both Gambit and Rogue, this boss node should actually be one-tappable. And I think actually even with Gambit and Rogue, the node I just did might become more of a one-tap, as, there's a little bit more damage, or at least that's the way it looks with Gambit and Rogue. There should be a lot more damage output. Like I said, I can one-shot this node. Sometimes, I would say maybe about 90% of the time. Again, maybe not necessarily when I'm kind of walking through everything that I'm doing and I'm kind of just playing on autopilot. But anywho, let's go in, let's finish this real quick. This is a nice quick fight, and again, the goal, I want cooldowns available for the first boss node, or available on turn 1 for the boss node. So obviously, quick, easy, let's go into the boss node, and basically 2 things happen. Either you're able to get rid of Doom before he does his ultimate, or you don't. And it's fine either way. If you're able to get Doom down before he does his ultimate, you can one-tap it. If not, you have to 2-tap it. And it actually looks like a lane partner is in the Mutant node, so I am going to pause the video right quick, and we will see where we are as far as this boss node, and I will be back in just a second. And we are back. Let's get into this boss node. Just kind of taking a quick little look. Looks like my fellow lane mate was able to get down with the Kestrel, and I'm going to basically assume that Doom's ult has been used, and it should be smooth sailing for me. So what I will say is, if you run into a situation where you're doing this node and, you're doing it on the first attempt, the goal, like I said, is to, basically nuke Doom down if you can. If you can't, Doom will do his ultimate on turn 2, and that's fine. But as soon as he does that ultimate, actually just go in and you would basically quit out. And it basically kind of negates Doom's ult. And then you just basically go in and do a little second tap. So I'm going in with the assumption that Doom has already ulted, and hopefully that is the case. This is certainly a situation where good communication with your raid teams is definitely wonderful if you do have that in your alliance. So we're kind of just keep going. I'm going to actually do a little bit of a rewind with Doom's turn meter over here. And while you can't actually stun Doom, you can reduce his turn meter. And hopefully, like I said, we aren't going to run into a situation where Doom is going to be using his ultimate. If that is the case, it's not a big deal. What we will do is then we will just kind of go in, and that same quit strategy does apply, and it basically negates Doom's ultimate, and it basically gives you several turns. Now, something important has happened. So we have gotten the Cap Sam and the 2 Falcons on the field. These Falcons and Cap Sams can be pretty dangerous. The Falcons are more dangerous on turn 2, as they will do their special and basically speed up their team, and you don't want that. So I typically will go after the Falcons first and just kind of erase them. If I can, I will try to stun Cap Sam to avoid his turn 1 speed up, but a lot of the times Cap Sam has a lot of resistance and he will resist a lot of the stuns. So I do go after the Falcons first. They're more so dangerous on turn 2, but if I can get rid of them early, I'd rather do that. So the Falcons are gone. I'm now going to go back to Doom and get rid of Doom, make sure that he doesn't basically get his ultimate available a second time, which, again, is really pretty challenging. You know, it does take him a lot of turns. The splash damage should kill Doom here, so I am going to focus on Cap Sam, as you saw. And at this point, it's really just kind of cleanup. I could actually slap it on auto and just kind of let them do their thing, but I am going to just kind of keep going and could just kind of keep walking it through. So the goal here now, it's again not a big deal, but if I can get rid of Cap Sam before he does his ult, super. And you did see we were able to land the stun there, so we're having good RNG. Cap Sam is gone. We'll now switch over to Taskmaster, just because he does have that blind, and I have not been paying attention as to where he is turn meter wise or what moves he's used, but again, not a big threat. So I get rid of him. He should be gone. There we go. And now Maria Hill is my next target, and not necessarily because she's threatening or dangerous, but more so normally, if you are one-tapping this, Maria Hill will become kind of problematic, as she will summon her summons, and she also has that heal. So normally, you know, if you're doing a one-tap, this is kind of where the time starts to get a little tight. And, you know, obviously the faster you're able to take out the enemy, the better, so you don't want the enemy healing or summoning additional targets. So if I can get rid of Maria first, super, and let's see, I should be able to get rid of her here with an assist. All right, we got rid of Maria. Next, I'm then going to just go ahead and target over in this area, just because there is a larger collection of enemies. So any splash damage I do over here is going to be more impactful. So, you know, we're going to do that basically. And then from that, it's just pretty much cleanup at this point. Like I said, this is another node that can be semi-challenging to two-tap. Either it's a combination of you don't have enough pure damage to be able to do, which is, you know, fine, or Doom ultimates and, you know, it's an automatic two-tap. But again, it's, you know, there's no shame in any of that. It's just how these nodes go. We do have, obviously, a mutant team, but they're a little bit lacking in damage, especially with the other 4 characters all being skirmishers. And you're seeing here, even as kind of like a second attempt, I did run pretty tight on time, and you know, that's why this node can be a little challenging to one-tap, is you're missing the damage. But yeah, that is just a quick little tutorial / walkthrough on the mutant node sections. Hopefully y'all did find this helpful. If you did, please hit that like and subscribe button. I do Marvel Strike Force content on a semi-regular basis, especially when there's something going on in the game. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Hope everyone is having a good week. Take it easy, and see you next time.